Hi there guys, TheBarracuda57 here. For this video I'll be talking about society. I'll be also talking about my thoughts towards society, all the kind of mechanics, the hierarchies, all the systems, my views towards them, and kind of the positives, the negatives, and kind of detached views. So kind of like assessing how I fit into society, but also detaching myself and talking about how, from a distance I am in society and where I believe I am placed in society is the best I can put it. So yeah, I don't really have a set plan, so I'll just speak and see where it goes really, and then kind of like see where the flow takes me, kind of thing. I'll try not ramble too much because most INFJs ramble in general, and I'm aware of that because I do it myself. So I'll just try and not go. I'll try and not go off on a tangent too much and try and just stick with the focus of what I'm trying to say. As INFJs, we're very introspective, and we reflect a lot, and we're considered to be one of the most reflective types. Because we're always thinking and we're reflecting, we can detach ourselves a lot, and kind of like, if there's a situation where two people are arguing, for example, we can kind of take a step back and go, okay, why is there a core reason that they're arguing? What started this? Whereas most people are sensors. They're too grounded in the moment and they can't take a step back and see the bigger picture. Sensors in general, make the majority of the population, and being a sensor, in many cases, they're grounded in the now, they're very logical, they're very in reality, and they're very kind of like present orientated. So because of this, if two people are having a fight, they'll be really in the moment, and they'll be like, oh my god, he's hitting him and she's hitting him back, and this fight's really intense, and they're wearing these clothes, and we're here in this area, for example. Whereas an NF can see the bigger picture. Intuitives can detach themselves to the point of seeing the wider concept and the wider context. Because of that, we can take a step back and we can be like, okay, these two are fighting, but why are they fighting? For some reason, she didn't understand what he was trying to say, and she was aggressive because she was trying to defend herself, and because of this he started getting angry, and so on. We can kind of see the dynamics and the mechanics of a fight, and because of this we can kind of step in, be the peacemaker to stop the conflict and be like, okay, the reason why you two are fighting is because she didn't understand what you were saying and you took it in a bad way, in a negative way, and therefore you both thought that you were being aggressive to each other when actually it was just a simple misunderstanding. Whereas most people are just kind of like, oh, there's a fight, yes, and they're hitting each other, and wow, that's really powerful, and oh, that must have really hurt, and oh goodness, oh, she's being really aggressive, and do you know what I mean? They're kind of more in the present and more kind of like what's in front of them, rather than taking a step back and asking themselves, why is this happening? Now, I'm not saying all sensors are like this, but the vast majority are like this. Obviously, depending on types, again, I don't want to put types into a box because everyone always assumes a kind of stereotype for each type, but there are lots of mixed sensors, thinkers, feelers, judges, perceivers, so obviously they have the kind of, some are more aware than others, is what I'm trying to say. But in society in general, it's just because a lot of people are very present orientated and can't take that step back. I don't understand it. Everyone seems like sheep. Everyone seems so regimented, and everyone seems to follow blindly what society tells them to follow. And I said in one of my other videos, I talked to all my flatmates and question, why are you doing everything which everyone else does? So many people in my generation, and I say that in a way where I sound like I'm an old soul, but I don't feel attached to my generation. But it's just people blindly buy mainstream music because everyone else is doing it, and they don't seem to have any opinion for themselves. It's kind of like, oh, I have my own taste in music, but because everyone's listening to this latest artist, and everyone likes that latest artist, I want to buy it as well so I can fit in with them. You don't have to do that to fit in, just be yourself. You know, and it's people like who wear all the same brand of clothing, all Calvin Klein clothing, all, you know, Gucci clothing or Gucci handbags or all these things. And it's kind of like, why do you restrict yourself to one thing? Be open-minded. There's so many different clothing brands, there's so many different music types. Why do you want to be like everyone else? And people just like, you know, are so into their culture, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you get some cultures where all people seem to do is drink, go to the pub, go to the bar, and not really do that much, or they love sport and everything they do and talk about is sport. So many of my friends are just like, football, 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 and I'm just like, God, there's so much more important topics to talk about than really small topics and everyday topics. Most topics people talk about, I'm saying this in guys in general because I don't know about girls in general, but you know, from a guy's point of view, it's either sex, drinking or football. I mean, it's just like, really, there's so many other things to talk about, and it's just so draining and so mind-numbing and so kind of like, destroying of the brain. It's just, the thing is, they love that because they're just doing what everyone else does. And I tell them that, and they go, no, well, we're doing this because we like doing it. And I'm like, really? I'm sure it's just because you can't take that step back and see the wider context of it. And you're so in the moment, you think, oh, everyone else is doing this, I'll do this as well. When actually, when you were younger, you had your own dreams, your own passions, your own ambitions. But as you got older, all you did was just follow what everyone else did, and you lost your identity. But because you did those things so many times with repetition, it became normal, and actually it's part of who you are, even though probably, you know, it resulted from you just following everyone else, is what I'm trying to say. This is what I tried to explain to my flatmates, but a lot of them are just like, no, you know, we're not like that, we're aware, we're not sheep. And I'm like, really? Because you seem to do what everyone else does. I mean, obviously not as much because, you know, everyone's different and everyone has their own identities, but it's all pet mentality at the end of the day. It's all animal, and it's like the very fact that they can't detach themselves and be like, okay, I'm doing this because everyone else is doing this, and I'm doing it unconsciously because I want to fit in. People don't think like that. And to an extent you can say that is why we're weird and different, because we can think like that, but you know, it's just, I really don't understand it. And you get these people who are like, in society, who are like, oh, I have this idol, I want to be like her. This music singer is really popular, but actually, you know, she might be a complete idiot and just drinks and does drugs all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, who wants to follow that kind of person? But I'm going to follow her because she's mainstream and everyone loves her, and her singing is really good even though she's auto-tuned and all these things. And it's like, why do you need an idol? I've never had an idol. And you can say that's bad, you can say that's good, you know. We all see both sides to everything, so there's positives and negatives from my judgment. Well, at least I made a judgment rather than being like, oh, maybe I'll choose him, or maybe I'll choose her, or maybe I'll choose that one or that one. You know, that's perceiving, and I'm a judger, so I'm definitely going to be like, that's what I want to do, and I'm sticking with that. Again, learn the functions, guys, if you're a perceiver and you're not sure if you're a judger, because, you know, so many mistypes. So again, learn the functions, and I've said in many videos, learn the functions and read about it. Don't assume and don't stereotype types. But it's like, why do you need an idol? Like, just be yourself, make yourself an idol. And I don't mean in the sense that make yourself popular and make yourself loved and adored, because that's just stupid and that's just ego talking. But I mean, like, you know, just support yourself, believe in yourself, make yourself better physically, mentally, spiritually, you know, and you can't go wrong. If you're happy with yourself, that's all that matters, and I've always said that. And you get these people who are very kind of, there are two things. They're either weak-minded, which is why they need an idol to follow, because they have no kind of self-confidence in themselves, or two, you know, that idol is kind of everything that they want to be, and they're passionate about and they dream about becoming, which is fair enough. So I mean, you know, you follow that idol, but don't become that idol. You are you at the end of the day. And you get some people who dress exactly the same as that idol, listens to that idol all the time, tries to write like that idol, speak like that idol, be like that idol. You can't be someone you're not. I mean, yes, it's good that you're passionate and that idol is very much like who you are, But be like your idol, but have your own individual and unique spin on it, and just be yourself. I don't understand why you have to follow blindly what the idol does. Just like society again, you're just being blind and following a structure. You're following a hierarchy, you're following a system blindly because you have no confidence in yourself. A lot of people just always kind of, you know, extroverts and sensors, they're always kind of like, oh, the answer's out there, and I have to kind of follow a base structure and a base system and a base hierarchy which has been done before because it's a system that works. A lot are very logical and they don't want to go outside the box, which is very much why NFs are very abstract and, you know, lateral in thinking. You know, why do you have to follow structure so much? I had a massive, you know, debate with an ESTJ, a very good friend of mine. And he's so concrete, logical, and he's so structured and so regimented. And I said, why don't you want to go outside the box? Why are you so scared of the unknown? And it's like, you know, it's like what Professor X said in the X-Men. Human beings are always going to be scared of the unknown because they're not sure of it. Whether it's their own species, a mutant species, aliens, thinking outside the box, thinking differently, acting differently, and breaking away from structure. People are always scared of the unknown. Why is this? It's because they're not confident in themselves. If you're confident in yourself and you're going into an area or you're doing something which has never been done before, if you're confident in yourself, you'll always make it. And even if you do fail, the very fact that you're confident in yourself mentally, physically and spiritually, you can push yourself forward and achieve much more than someone who never attempted to go outside the box. Again, people are so stuck in pack mentality, sheep people, you know, who are kind of absorbed into mainstream media and, you know, just blind to kind of their own way of thinking. It's funny because, you know, you've got the media telling girls that they could be princesses, Disney telling them that they can be princesses and they can do whatever they want, and actually realistically, you know, you can't just make people live in a fantasy world, you've got to be realistic. So, you know, there's people being told what to do in that sense. Music industry telling people that sex, drinking, parties, going out, getting laid, drinking, having drugs, all these things is the right thing to do because that's what the rich people do and that is the ideal of what human beings should do. Again, that's just portraying an idea and a concept, and actually if you're blindly following a picture or an ideal and not being realistic, you're just blind and you might as well be a sheep, which you might well be, you know, in this case. So there's that sense as well. And it's also the sense of people following what everyone else is doing because they're too scared to be individual, to stick out from the crowd and to, you know, be themselves. And it's stupid. I mean, and it's just like, so many people are very unnatural. I've seen so many MBTI videos where people are very unnatural, they have social anxiety and they use their type as an excuse and go like, oh well, because I'm this type, I'm, you know, scared and I can't do things this way. Again, stop using that as an excuse. Don't use types as an excuse. You are who you are at the end of the day, and stop labeling yourself and using type as an excuse. You know, it again relates to society because everyone just stereotypes everyone and everyone labels everyone and everyone assumes everyone all the time. Who cares? But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just because people aren't open-minded and they're so narrow-minded into their own way of thinking and they're so narrow-minded into fitting in. And why would you want to fit in? I've said this so many times. Who wants to fit in? If humanity is just so focused on the same things and does exactly what everyone else does and there's no individuals, you know, it's just, we might as well be a beehive, a bee colony, because all the bees are doing the exact same things for the queen or the media. You know, have your own thoughts. We're not drones, we're not robots, and we're not, you know, mindless. Many people are because they have no faith or confidence in themselves to stick out, to follow their own passions and ideas. And at the end of the day, they have a life that's unfulfilled because their whole lives they just didn't have the confidence to follow their dreams and to take a step out into the unknown. Very much like society. That's the thing I love about NFs. And I know it sounds like I'm putting types into a box, but I mean, okay, ignore that part. anyone who's open-minded, anyone who is brave enough to think outside the box, I mean, yes, use structure and use systems which have been used before because they work, but I mean, if you're afraid to go outside the norm and to do something different and to step outside the box and think differently, what are you? You're just a robot because you've never, ever gone past what you are able to think. Again, you're just limiting yourself. You know, if you're confident, happy with yourself, you don't need an idol. You dress how you feel is right. You do what you feel is right. You follow what you feel is right. You go out there and do what you want to do. Within reason, of course. You can't go wrong. And, you know, you might be alone in doing it, but at the end of the day, if you're doing something you love and you're being the person you want to be, who cares if you're by yourself? Who cares if you're alone? And who cares if you're not doing what your friends are doing? Because at the end of the day, if you're out there exploring and doing things by yourself that you want to do, you'll be more fulfilled than staying in a pub all day, staying in the bar all day, watching football all day, drinking, taking drugs, listening to the same old mainstream, doing all the same mainstream things that you did every day of your life. And then if you're out there searching and doing what you love, you'll find someone similar who's the exact same as you, loves to do the exact same things as you, and that you'll be glad that you took a step out of the box and you did something different. Again, the unknown's only scary if you believe it's scary. It's all perception. It's just like anxiety, you know. You might be scared to talk in front of a camera, you might be scared to talk in front of people in public, but it's all perception. If you change your focus, then nothing can stop you. Again, make yourself physically stronger, spiritually stronger, and mentally stronger. Just be yourself. You don't need idols, you don't need to do what everyone else is doing. If you're happy with yourself, that's all you need. As cliche as that sounds, it really is the truth. Oh, that's kind of got me stressed out because I'm starting to think about society now, but, you know, I've said what I needed to say, and you guys, you know, hopefully can see what I mean by it. Like, you know, I'm not going to go and say any more because I've said everything that I want to say. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and please like, share and subscribe and comment if you agreed with it or disagreed with it. I couldn't care. Either way, it's your opinion. And I will post a video straight after this bit which helps to kind of like back up what I said about following your heart, your passions, your feeling. Even though your friends say what you're doing is crazy, if it feels right, do it. And obviously be realistic, and, you know, don't be afraid to think outside the box and to go into the unknown, because it's better trying and failing, or trying and then finding out you've succeeded, rather than not trying at all. Thank you guys for watching. This is TheBarracuda57, over and out.